Hello and welcome. In case we've never met before, my name is Andrew Martinez. I'm the webmaster for Reconnect Fellowship Church. So, in a nutshell, I'm responsible for watching over the church website and keeping it updated. So, whenever the church website goes down or something like that, I take full responsibility. All right, I will now share my testimony with you. So, for the most part, I grew up in a Baptist church throughout my younger years, throughout my elementary and middle school years. And whenever people would partake of the Lord's Supper, I mean, I would always wonder, hey, why can't I have a cracker and a thing of grape juice like them? I remember asking my mom several times, hey, mom, why does everybody else get a cracker and a grape juice but me? And she told me, well, you need to be saved in order to partake of this Lord's Supper. And I remember asking my mom, okay, well, what does it mean to be saved? And what do I have to do to be saved and partake of this? So, in a nutshell, I mean, she eventually explained to me how I need to become a follower of Christ. I need to commit my life to the Lord if I want to partake of that Lord's Supper. And and yeah, long story short, after much prayer and contemplation, I realized at that young age of 12 that yeah, I needed to dedicate my life to the Lord. So I remember letting my church pastor know at the time, let him know that, hey, you know what, I'm ready to become saved. I'm ready to become a follower of Christ. So at the age of 12, I became a Christian and was baptized. And then after becoming a Christian at that young age, I did have my fair share of difficulties, such as my parents becoming divorced at the age of 13. And and yeah, it was definitely a very difficult time growing up in a single parent home. But in hindsight, I realized that it was an exercise in walking by faith and not by sight. And it was just all the more reason to like rely on the Lord and rely on my local fellowship at the time. And every difficult season I've had in those younger years, yet the Lord got me through in one way or another. The Lord always provided in one way or another. And and also in my younger years, I kind of had this inaccurate, legalistic understanding that being a Christian involved following a set of rules, following a set of do's and don'ts. Like I used to have this mindset that if I miss just one Sunday morning of church, or if I say just one curse word, or if I just do one bad thing, then I'm going to be zapped. Then I could go to hell or something. But of course, now that I'm more mature, I realize that that is a completely false, inaccurate mindset to have. And being a Christian, it's not all about following a list of do's and don'ts, but it's all about having a relationship with the Father through Jesus Christ. It's all about that daily walk and daily relationship with the Lord. And at the current time, as of November 2020, of course, I am currently single and I'm waiting on the Lord for my wife. But on a consistent basis, I do claim Proverbs 19:14, which states, houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Now, I remember back in April 2016, when one of my relationships failed, I actually did some research on Bible verses to like guide me in my dating and relationship decisions. And I did come up with a Google Doc with my top 10 dating and relationship uh, related Bible verses. And I will share them with you right now. So we will start with Deuteronomy chapter 13, verses 6 and 9. It says, if your very own brother or your son or daughter or the wife you love or your closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let us go worship other gods, gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, you must certainly put them to death. Your hand must be first in putting them to death, and then the hands of all the people. Of course, in modern day terms, we wouldn't literally put the person to death. Of course, we would just put that relationship to death. Then in Amos 3:3, do two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? So, simply put, if both persons are not on the same page of things, well, it's probably not going to work. In Proverbs 12, verse 4, a wife of noble character is her husband's crown, but a disgraceful wife is like decay in his bones. And I definitely pray that I do not end up with a disgraceful wife. All right, Proverbs 21, verse 9. Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Then in Proverbs 21, verse 19. Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Then in Proverbs chapter 25, verse 24, better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Proverbs 27, verse 15, a quarrelsome wife is like the dripping of a leaky roof in a rainstorm. So already in 4 places in Proverbs that make reference to that troublesome, quarrelsome wife. So that's taught me that it is God's will that I do not end up with a high maintenance drama queen. And I definitely pray that I do not end up with a troublesome, quarrelsome, fault-finding wife like that. And then Proverbs 31:10, a wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Then in Proverbs 31:30, it says, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And actually, the whole Proverbs 31 chapter talks about the wife of noble character. But out of all those verses in Proverbs chapter 31, I think the verse 30 would be the most important to me. Because, yeah, charm is deceptive, beauty is fleeting. Because as we get older, as we age, one's outer beauty can decrease over time for some people. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And then in 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14, do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? So bottom line, if both persons are unequally yoked, then yeah, it's not going to work. And these 10 verses have saved me from quite a few bad relationships in recent years. And then also with this pandemic of COVID-19 during this year of 2020, I know, this pandemic has challenged a lot of believers as well as unbelievers. And actually came up with another Google Doc with Bible verses to deal with difficult times. And I'll go and share my top 5 from here. Let's see. So like in James 1, verses 2 through 4, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And yeah, earlier this year, like with the lockdowns and whatnot, my perseverance was definitely put to the test. But hey, it's all part of the refining process of our spiritual growth and maturity. Then in 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. And yeah, it's just a reminder to me to just continue to surrender my weaknesses to the Lord. And 2 Corinthians 4, 16 through 17 says, therefore we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. And this definitely hit me hard during this pandemic. And I know Yeah, a number of us have probably felt like we've been outwardly wasting away like that. But it's around to me that although we might feel like we're wasting away outwardly, at least we're being uh, inwardly renewed on a continual basis. And then in 2 Corinthians 1, verses 3 through 4, praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. So this whole like pandemic with the lockdowns and that sort of thing, yeah, it's just been uh, all the more motivation to turn to God for His comfort, and with that comfort we receive from God, we are to share that with others. And then Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. So, although in the natural realm, it probably makes no sense for this pandemic to take place, but in the grand scheme of things, God can use all this for good. And these verses have reminded me that, like with the pandemic, as well as like any other difficult times, how this is all only a season, and this too shall pass. So, yeah, that is my testimony. Thank you for listening.